So who in the room is young at heart? For those of you that didn't raise your hand, we'll have practitioners available for you. If you're a practitioner, raise your other hand, please, so they'll know who to go to. So everyone go to Elizabeth and Reverend Lenore. So happy Sunday or in the middle of Labor Day weekend. All right? It feels like fall is in the air. What do you think? I know likey, but it is what it is. It's cold from my perspective, so I think we need to go to the great beyond and ask for heat. I know that most of you don't agree with that, right? No, I know. Later this afternoon. It's coming, they say. Good. Well, we are a metaphysical-based community known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and welcome to our Sunday celebration service. Let's say hello to those online. Good. So I was telling Terry, and I'll just give a tidbit to you guys while it's fresh on my mind. You know, we have live streamers that watch every Sunday and watch following that. And last week we went live on Facebook Live, and we will continue that. We're just not doing it today or next Sunday, just based on some technology pieces and some, technology pieces. And but we had 82 people watching online last Sunday on Facebook Live. So that is a modality that is a great thing to do, so we will continue that. But continuing, I shall in regards to welcoming you today. And as a metaphysical New Thought community, we welcome and celebrate all aspects and all facets of life into our spiritual home here at 1200 North La Brea Avenue in West Hollywood. We're coming up on our second year anniversary here. Great to know that, right? Which will coincide around the same time that CSL, formerly known as Los Angeles Church of Religious Science, recognizes its 30th year as a community. So both things to celebrate, right? And so the vision statement for our community is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. I invite you to hear that anew in this very moment. Supporting individuals, including you, each and every one of you, of finding your personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. What this means is that we honor you on your path and your journey of awakening to the power of the divine that resides within each one of us. And that in so doing, that then gives you empowerment to make your personal life better. If you're here for the first time, anyone here for the first time today? We have Ashley is here for the first time. I know Ashley because she's taking care of a pooch behind my house, so we've had some pooch connections so far. So what you may hear today, Ashley, that you've never heard before is some non-traditional Christian terminology, such as spiritual mind treatment, and to know that we refer to the power of one, also known as God, as an impersonal, indwelling presence that is equal among all of humanity and all sentient beings across the universe. We call it light. And so as a result of that, we open our service every Sunday morning with a ritual called Calling in the Light that we'll get to in just a moment. But more importantly, what we want you to know is that we're appreciative of each and every individual, whether you're here live or in person or watching it later, for sharing this time together in community, acknowledging the oneness of life that exists by means of us. And so we welcome and celebrate all races, all religions, all countries of origin, all sexual orientations, all genders, all ethnicities, all abilities, all aspects of life. We stand with you. And as our beloved founding pastor, Dr. David Walker, used to say each and every Sunday morning, and join with me please to say, we welcome one and we welcome all. So, on the Bema today, we've got some music for you that we've been waiting for. I would say with bated breath, but maybe we've been excited. Andy's been super excited to have this gentleman here with us this morning, Scott Drier. Yeah. Please welcome Scott Drier, who is supported and has known for a long time and worked with Andy Belling. Andy, anything you'd like to tell us about Scott before we move on?
No, when I first heard his voice years and years and years ago, I thought, well, this is not going to last. He can't do this. But he's gotten better and better and better. And I'm so delighted to be able to bring him here today to sing for you. It's going to be a different day musically. It's a lot softer and gentler today, but I hope you like it.
We can have kind of a feeling of youth and still be soft and gentle, right? Good. So I'm glad you're here today, Scott, and I heard him in rehearsal, and he's got really does have some beautiful music for us, so it's going to be intertwined with our service today in a great way. So we open our service every Sunday morning with a ceremony, a ritual called Calling in the Light. And that is done by the practitioner of the day. Unintentionally, I was scheduled 2 weeks in a row, so I'm your prac du jour. So you get me today, and we have Jesus Ernesto Ruiz, one of our the alternate board member, our sound engineer, and just a long-time piece of the puzzle here and the foundational piece to be our illuminator. So this particular ritual gives you the opportunity to not only hear that which we're honoring as we light the candles in a new way today, but also to have a call and response by some music that's taking place, and that will end with affirmative prayer, also known as spiritual mind treatment. And so I invite you to just take a deep breath in and relax into the moment. Let's move into that space of gentleness that Andy just spoke of. The ritual that I'm going to read for us today is one honoring the religions of the world. It's known as the Flames of Faith. And I wanted to do this today for the primary reason that this past week in our country, we've honored the passing of two great individuals, both Aretha Franklin. And if any of you saw any of that service on Friday, it certainly spoke to the diversity of life and the honoring of one's belief systems and her honoring the diversity of humanity. And that spoke to my heart, as well as then the one yesterday and throughout this last week regarding John McCain, Senator John McCain. And whether one believes or agrees with his philosophical, political beliefs or not, he truly was not only both an amazing humanitarian, but a testament to our democracy and what it stands for. And yes. And the thing that moved me so much in hearing both aspects of his eulogy and those that memorialize him, as well as his philosophies, and watching the film that CNN has done on him, if you haven't seen it, please watch it, is that John McCain was truly a believer in honoring humanity, and honoring humanity first. And so it's with that I invite you to hear these flames of faith this morning, these religions of the world, if you will, and bring into your mind's eye an individual that represents them in a new way. And if you have a challenge in bringing that up in your mind's eye, it would be easy for you to bring up in your mind's eye a picture of John McCain and see him reaching out to an individual that's an aspect or a piece of the puzzle of that faith, and then hear Aretha Franklin in your voice singing one of them at the same time. And the song I would hear her singing is Amazing Grace. And so we shall begin.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light.
So today, September 2nd, in the year 2018, we perform the ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. So as Jesus lights the first candle, he does so for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, known as the natural way. And we move to the second candle, which we light for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, known as the way of primal spirituality. Continuing on this path and bringing into our mind's eye both Aretha Franklin and John McCain if necessary, we move to the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, of action, and devotion. As we move to the fourth candle, Jesus lights it for Judaism. As we sit here in a synagogue and a temple, we honor those that practice this religion. And in so doing, we honor it by knowing that it is known as the ethical path of living by sacred law. As we move to the fifth candle, we light it for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. As we move to the sixth candle, Jesus lights it for all forms of Christianity. And in so doing, we honor Christianity, which is known as the Christ consciousness that exists within each and every individual, also known as the path of love. And as we move to the seventh candle, we light it today for all forms of Islam. And in so doing, we light it honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling, hearing it anew right now. And as we move to the eighth candle, we light that for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and of peace. Moving to the ninth candle, we light it for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. It's that which we practice and teach here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. And as we move to the final candle, that which is known as the healing candle, I ask you to take a moment and bring into your mind's eye each and every face of the individuals that you just brought forth during this ritual, and anyone else in your mind that is in need of healing, and put them silently into the light of the healing flame so that they may experience the eternal and everlasting love of the divine in a new way.
I am love.
I am love.
I am peace.
I am peace.
In my heart. In my heart. I am free. I am free. I am spirit. I am spirit. I am soul. I am soul. All together. All together. We are whole. We are whole. Calling in the light. Calling in the light. Calling in the light of love. Calling in the light. Calling in the light. Calling in the light of love. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is.
Staying centered in this energy field of light, of peace, of awareness, of interconnectedness, of life, of differences, of sameness, of oneness. I know for each of us that we open ourselves in this moment to be receptive to the great I am that I am that I am that is present by means of each one of us here today. We feel its vibration. We feel that connection. We feel life itself. And so we say yes to the opportunity to receive anew today. A new awareness, a new awakening, a new knowing of who we are as divine beings. And in so doing, letting that be the impetus and the catalyst for us to make a difference in our own world today. And so we just simply open up in a state of joy, hearing beyond what the ears can hear, feeling in a place that we haven't felt before, and allowing the divine to do its thing through us. We let it be, as we say together. And so it is. So it is. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, gentlemen. Yes. And thank each of you. And so Scott would like to share a little story with us this morning before he sings his first song with us. Scott, you ready to do that? And so, ladies and gentlemen, Scott Drier.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so honored to be here today. I really, really am. Andy Belling and I have known each other for a long time, and he worked on my first album with me, and we're going to sing a tune from that later on. But he wanted me to quickly just mention, for many years now, since 2011, I created a show called Doris and Me, which celebrates the music and life and career of Doris Day and my crazy obsession with her. And I've been performing it all over the country for several years now, and just performed, was invited to perform for the third time in Carmel for Doris Day's 96th birthday celebration, benefiting the animals. Yes, that deserves an applause, right? And so the first two songs that I did at the very, very beginning are Doris Day songs, and this is one of her biggest hits, and so we wanted to do it for you today. When I was just a little boy, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que será, whatever will be, the future's not ours to see. Que será. Then I grew up and fell in love. I asked my sweetheart, what lies ahead? Will there be rainbows day after day? Here's what my sweetheart said. Whatever we be, que será, será. Now I have children of my own. They ask their father, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? I tell them tenderly. Que será, será, whatever will be, the future's not ours, it's not ours to see. Que
Scott Drier. Scott Drier and Andy Belling, ladies and gentlemen. Such a beautiful song, correct? Such a beautiful song, correct? Such a beautiful rendition of the song, right? There we go. So Scott had asked me if we were trying to determine, he had a collection of songs to sing today, and he had asked me which one to sing before my message, and we picked that one. And I said I have a very specific reason for picking it, because I listened to the lyrics again in rehearsal, and I want you to know that I have very distinct feelings about those lyrics, and this is what it is. I think they're a load of crap. From a metaphysical perspective, they're a load of crap, right? That's why you guys didn't say you liked the song right away, right? Because, say what? Okay, so everyone but Edward, no, right. Well, in the context of what we teach here and practice here, they are a load of crap from the perspective that our future is ours to see, because we play a very vital role in the co-creation of that, which couldn't be a better lead-in to where we're moving in the month of September for the year 2018. And I shared with you last week that we were moving into the next stage of moving from, August theme was fulfilling life's desires, and I ended up talking to you last week about looking at fulfillment of life's desires from the perspective that Deepak Chopra writes about it, called the matrix of manifestation. And he says that to move into the matrix of manifestation, and in this philosophy and teaching, one of the core components of it, one of the foundational beliefs, is that we play a role in that which is being made manifest in our life, whether we're conscious of how we're doing that or not, that because our thought shows up or our consciousness shows up as form in our life. And so the matrix of manifestation is taking place at all times, whether we're conscious of that or not. But by becoming conscious of that, then we play a greater role in co-creating through manifestation that which we desire to experience. In other words, the future is ours to see based on what we see ourselves to be prior to moving it into the law of creation. Deepak told us that matrix looks like this. The first step is to go to the infinite reservoir of potentiality and infinite awareness. One of the primary ways to do that is through meditation. He goes, then the second step is to focus your attention on one point. In our traditional practice of doing that, known as spiritual mind treatment, it is, I am, there is only one power, that is the divine. That's step one, that infinite reservoir of potentiality and infinite awareness. The second step is, I am that power individualized as potentiality and infinite awareness. He says, focus that attention on one point, meaning it's through that clarity of focus on the reservoir of potentiality, and infinite awareness, we then align ourselves with that I am, that I am, that I am. And then we start moving into the development of our consciousness, that which we're thinking, believing, seeing, knowing, all of that. And as we then tend to it from the divine perspective, we will participate in the co-creation of an experience that reflects our divinity, right, as opposed to reflecting our humanity by not tuning in to our divinity. That was a mouthful. Did you get it? Good. Now, the Sanskrit call that dharma. All right, just so you know, this isn't a new concept. It's just a concept presented in different terminology. So who came into this teaching loving the statement, change your thinking, change your life? I did. It was a pinnacle point in my life, sitting in the Atlanta Church of Religious Science in November 1982, when I heard Kennedy Schultz say, change your thinking, change your life, and my life changed in that moment. It was the first time that I actually believed, beyond a cerebral level, that there was a reservoir of infinite potentiality and awareness cosmically that I could tap into, and that for the first time I'd ever heard that I am that power. I am that reservoir. I am that potentiality. But as I've grown in this teaching over the 30-something years that I've been doing it, maybe longer at this point, since 1982, but really diving into it in the 90s and early 2000s, what I've realized and what I want to speak to in the month of September is that it is important for us to change our thinking and to change our life. But it's not enough. It's not enough. And so the theme that we have for September is change your vibrations and change your life. Now, that might seem to be a really broad concept for you, and it might seem a bit ethereal, and it's going to take us 4 weeks to really get deep into it. So I look forward to seeing you all on 4 Sundays and your friends on Bring a Friend Sunday. But my goal over these next 4 weeks is for us to learn to start looking at the practice and the teaching of religious science and metaphysics in a way that is beyond just thinking. Not instead of just thinking, beyond just the thinking. I want to be really clear on that. So change your vibrations and change your life. So my goal this morning is to start to scratch the surface of this structure, this subject, if you will, to start thinking anew about how we show up in the world, and are we showing up simply as thinking beings or beyond that? To open our minds and our hearts and our being to that which we know as life in a new way, while understanding that the principle of life is still the same. That just as Deepak told us, I'm sorry, I just had a moment of David in that moment when I said Deepak, because every time I say that word out loud, I remember Dr. David Walker at the Los Angeles Church of Religious Science. He used to say Deepak Chopra and his wife six-pack. And so, so just so you know, I had to say it out loud once, because every time I hear it in my head, I'm hearing it, and his wife six-pack, right? You can see David saying it. So I've said it. I'm not going to say it again. Maybe once. Deepak and his wife six-pack. All right, so I'm done. All right, so had to get that out. It was in here. See, it's more than just thinking. It's the vibrations, right? Now, you all just felt the vibrations of the room shift in that moment, right? That's the essence of what this month is going to be about. So the baseline for change your vibrations, change your life, I'm going to use a quote from Albert Einstein, and it's this. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality that you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. Now, he's not saying visualize it solely. He's not saying create a vision board solely. He's not saying write it on the chalkboard 100 times solely. He's not saying sit and use it as a mantra solely. He's saying match the frequency of the reality that you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. Ernie told us last month in the Desires that already exists, and it's ours for the taking. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. We're going to get into that a little bit more. He's telling us here that our responsibility in the manifestation of the desires that we desire to experience in our life can only happen when we match the frequency of that which is. Now, looking at the fundamentals of this teaching, let's look at what he means by the frequency that already is. Because we know in this teaching, when we say everything is infinite, that all that there ever was is, all that there ever is to be is, all that there is God. What we're being told is every single thing that we desire, every single thing that we desire already exists. Ernie says it's ours for the taking. What we're being told here by Albert is the way that we take that is to then match our frequency to that frequency of that which is, and it must show up. Now, why must it show up? It must show up because we live in a universe that's governed by spiritual law. One of the laws that speaks to this is the law of attraction. You've heard it before, right? Let's hear it anew today. What we're being told is the law of attraction must attract into our world the equivalent in form of the frequency of that what we're matching ours to be. Get it? So it appears to be cyclical, but it's actually only one activity. I can't go down that path yet. All right, so he says it can be no other way. This is not a philosophy, Einstein writes. It's physics. So it's not just what we think it is. It's the physics. It's the knowledge of nature. That's what physics is. It's the knowledge of nature. So we know that this is the reality of nature. Well, how does this relate to you and me as human beings? Well, here's how. In the book, The Science of Mind, how many of you are familiar with that book? Right? It's a great book. Hard to read, but a great book. But it's not so hard to read if you take it apart and read it in pieces. So here's a piece that addresses this under the paragraph called Streams of Consciousness. Ernest Holmes writes, each being is an individual entity in mind. Each being is an individual entity in mind and is known by the name he or she bears and by the vibration which they emanate. It's a big statement and it's so cool. Each being is an individual entity in mind and is known by the name he or she bears and by the vibration which they emanate. For while we are all in one mind or spirit, each has a separate and individualized personality. So I'm going to just paraphrase that for a second and add to it. For while we are all in one mind or spirit, for while we are all interconnected as the one, we each have a separate and individualized personality and a separate and individualized vibration. We know that, right? How do we know that? Because we have those people that are close talkers, right? That come up close to you and you're like, oh, I don't feel your vibe. And then there's the close talkers that come and you're like, oh, I want to kiss you, right? So it's whether your frequency is matching the vibration of the frequency that you're in commune with. Now, we know when we come in this room together, the frequency of this room is one that is at a very high level. You can feel it when you walk into it. We add to that frequency when we come together. When we come together with purpose and intention to share 66 minutes together on a Sunday morning, to listen to music, to hear anew, to hear the affirmative prayer in the beginning that says we open up to that which is greater than we are, to then be here together honoring the power of the divine that exists in its individualized way, both through personality and vibrational frequency here. We settle into it, and then the frequency, the vibration of the room feels good. Now, you also can feel when something or someone comes in the room and it feels against the energy in the room, right? You know that when it happens. I can sense it when they come in to get coffee off the street, by the way. I don't know if you guys know that. So there's a whole activity that takes place out there while we're in there. Oftentimes I can feel it and I'll look and then I can see it moving around. I refer to the it, meaning very loosely. I'm not being disrespectful. But I bring that up to you all because that's beyond just the thinking. It's about the feeling. And so to change your vibrations, to change your life, one must get in tune with your feelings, which is a part of your consciousness. What Ernie is telling us here is that we are an emanation of our consciousness, right? And as a result of that, that's how our vibrations go out. There was a quote that I found that I think addresses this very particular piece very well, and it says this, and I couldn't find the name of the person that wrote it, but it's this. And it's from a website called Simple Capacity Become a Superhuman. And this person wrote, I don't trust words. I trust vibes. People can tell you anything, but a vibe tells you everything. Where in our life do we get to bear witness to the great example of a being of light that lives solely from vibrations? We have one in the room right now, for sure. Joanne's got it in the bag. What's his name? Cupid. What's his name? Cupid. So how many of you are animal lovers? Would you agree that the animals check the vibes first? You can see them. Like some person comes walking up and go, oh, I want to pet you. I want to pet you. What do? They're like either leaning or like, yo, stay back, crazy human. Like, not my vibe, right? No words, right? But the vibe. The reality is that we have the same capacity within us. However, most often, we feel like the primary method of communication, both to give and receive, is done through words. Now, I know that sounds a bit arrogant coming from me as I'm up here just spilling out words to you, right? But hopefully you're picking up on my vibes, which are good, by the way. Yeah, thank you. It was a long time coming. That's what an animal would do in that moment, right? All right. So we're talking about your vibration. So what is your vibration and what is a vibration from human terms? Well, Cassandra Sturdy wrote this. Your vibration is a fancy way of describing your overall state of being. Everything in the universe is made up of energy, vibrating at different frequencies. Even things that look solid are made up of vibrational energy fields at the quantum level. Now, if you've ever studied anything in this teaching of the science of mind or metaphysics and made it beyond the first year, you've heard this. Hear it anew right now. Your vibration is a fancy way of describing your overall state of being. Everything in the universe is made up of energy vibrating at different frequencies. Even things that look solid are made up of vibrational energy fields at the quantum level. This includes you. From a scientific and metaphysical perspective, Sturdy further explains that we are a being that is made up of different energy levels: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Each of these levels has a vibrational frequency, which combine to create your overall vibration of being. All vibrations operate at a high and a low frequency, within us and around us. If your vibration is low, it will be evident. It's simply a matter of bringing awareness to your situation and then working on rectifying it. In other words, raising your consciousness. We've talked about that before here in this philosophy and teaching. They go on to write, perhaps money no longer flows in your life, your health is poor, or you feel surrounded by negative people. When your vibration is high, however, that is that beautiful sense of living in the flow. Here, you may be inviting inspiring people into your life, jumping out of bed each day full of optimism. Things may be progressing particularly well in business or other aspects of your life. Perhaps your bank balance has never looked so good. To others, it may appear that you have all the luck in the world, when in actual fact, you've invited it in all on your own. In other words, you're not living from que sera, sera. All right? What he's saying here is it's helpful to be aware that energy attracts energy. For example, this writer says, I know when my vibration has dropped because all areas of my life are impacted in some way. My energy might be poor, my health dodgy. Sales for my ebook, that person may drop. Money may not be flowing as it should. If, however, your vibration is high, you're more likely to attract those positive, life-affirming, motivating people into your life that you desire. You're probably bouncing with energy. That job promotion you hoped for just landed and opportunities seem to fall in your lap. Have you ever known anyone or been at a stage in your life where the bad just continued to get worse and it seemed to get worse and everywhere you turned, crap was showing up? We've all been there, right? Because why? Energy begets energy. And on the other hand, when you've been in the flow, right? Money's coming your way, love is happening everywhere, your career is flourishing and blossoming. You don't seem to have enough time to enjoy all the good in life. That's because energy begets energy. We live in a world that's governed by spiritual law. Well, what does Ernest Holmes have to say about this concept? The great metaphysical teacher, Ernie. And what's his wife's name? Hazel, right? So she doesn't get a good joke. All right, so vibration. Vibration, as defined in the book The Science of Mind, is law in execution. So he's taking it deeper. So not only do we just have these vibrations that we now know we feel, we're in tune with, we've collectively agreed that they exist in this room, not only in an overall perspective, but by means of each one of us. But he goes deeper and says to us, well, vibration itself is law in execution. To vibrate may mean to fluctuate, to waver, a moving or swinging to and fro. We speak of being in vibration to one thought and then another. We mean being in harmony with one thought and then another, switching from one to the other. He goes on to write, the vibration of a book is the mental atmosphere of that book. It is what we read between the lines as well as on the lines. We speak of the high vibration of a room, particularly a room used for spiritual and mental work. This one is one of those. And we mean that spiritual consciousness which has been engendered there. All phenomena are determined by the rate of their vibration. So what he's telling us here is that we experience this vibration because the law of life is revealing our consciousness. Because if we've determined in life that every single thing in life is a result that we have to both experience and express is a result of our consciousness, in other words, it's an outpicturing of the totality of how we show up in and as the mind of the divine, then the vibrations that we feel and experience and emit and express is that consciousness being executed out. That's a big idea, right? That's a big idea. And yet, it is an idea that I personally find incredibly exciting because it gives us the opportunity to then step into and maneuver life on a daily basis beyond just the cerebral, because who in this room ever gets stuck in their head? We all do. But what we're being told here is let's move beyond that. And let's move to that place that is transcendent of thinking. Not exclusive, transcendent. Let the thinking take place, but then move from a place of letting your vibrations fluctuate and waver based on how you show up in a room. Not adapt, by the way, but fluctuate and waver, meaning continue to know who you are as a divine being, bringing your divinity to the room, seeing what happens when you emit your vibrations and what comes back to you. Stay in that dance, as I've often talked about, of living your humanity with your divinity. Bring your divinity, which is one of the highest vibrational frequencies that there is, to the room, to life, to your life. Put it out there and see how it responds. On the other hand, live life sometimes by simply just receiving that which is coming to you. And ask that which is coming to you, is this of a high vibrational frequency? And am I willing to align myself with what's coming in or not? Can you allow it to come to you, through you, and repel it at the same time? Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is a spiritual practice of the 21st century. It's really not. It's a spiritual practice of the ages, right? But if we look at it in terms of doing that in today's world, we then have the opportunity to raise our vibrations to be more in line with our divinity. Now we've all heard the phrases before, man, he has a really negative vibe, right? That place has amazing energy. Well, she's so energetic. Yet, few of us ever really stop to fathom the depths of these common expressions and or the feelings that we have in those moments and those remarks. The truth that is instinctive on both a primitive and intuitive level, then, we can sense that not only is everything composed of energy, but that this energy varies in its quantity and quality drastically in our everyday lives. What we're being told there is that we move through life experiencing a multitude of vibrations and frequencies and energy levels. And they can only impact us in a less than life-affirming way if we're not centered in knowing who we are as the completeness and the fulfillment of the divine, no matter what shows up in form. And yet, what a great opportunity that we have to experiment with what's going on in life around us by getting centered and knowing who we are and then stepping into the chaos of the world that is also orderly at the same time. Well, the question is, do you have a high or a low vibrational frequency? Only you can answer that. But here's another part I want to address regarding that. So we live in a world today where this is no longer just considered hocus pocus and phenomenon. We live at a time when scientific pioneers are discovering and verifying very simple methods that can help you go from a stressed survival mode to truly thriving. Science is starting to understand what are termed energetic frequencies, which can be related to brain and heart patterns, as well as the connection between them. I'm going to read that statement again and ask yourself, where have you heard the question, when will that happen? It's written, science is starting to understand what are termed energetic frequencies, which can be related to brain and heart patterns, as well as the connection between them. There's a book that I've referenced earlier today, and it begins by this paragraph. We all look forward to the day when science and religion shall walk hand in hand through the visible to the invisible. Science knows nothing of opinion, but recognizes a government of law whose principles are universal. Does anybody know what book that comes from? The Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes told us when this book was printed in 1926, and he could have written it at other time, in the first chapter, the very first chapter, the very opening lines to that book is this: we all look forward to the day when science and religion, meaning the practice of spirituality, the order of that, can walk hand in hand through the visible to the invisible. Science knows nothing of opinion but recognizes a government of law whose principles are universal. We're being told here that day is now. It's now. It's no longer just conjecture that we live in a world of higher and lower vibrational frequencies, but there are methodologies to test that. I don't have enough time to go through those, so I'm going to highlight for you some high and low frequencies today to give you some examples to ask yourself from a self-inventory perspective, how am I showing up in the world? What am I bringing to the world? Am I willing to do the work that is required, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually, to create a shift in my life so that my frequency changes, and in so doing, I evolve into a space of spiritual awakening, and in so doing, my life, Keith Cox, is more empowered than it was the moment before. That, indeed, is the vision statement that we have for our ministry here. Finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, and we as a community supporting individuals who do that. It's important to know that before I read this list of high vibrations and low vibrational frequencies, that no one is either 100% either or everything in their life. So most likely you'll fall along a spectrum of some, and just refrain from boxing yourself in and just simply listen to these. As the weeks unfold, I'm going to move us into some scientific studies of both heart math, of understanding that there are truly scientific ways of measuring what's taking place in your physiology, which is a reflection of what's taking place in your spirituality, and us looking at how we adapt our life in a way to rise up into a higher evolutionary state of consciousness. If you have a low vibration, these are some of the things that show up. You feel stuck or stranded in life, not knowing what to do next. You struggle with apathy or an uncaring attitude towards yourself or others. You have the propensity to be emotionally reactive, and you struggle with constant fatigue and lethargy. You have a primarily self-centric view of the world. You often struggle with despair and destruction, and you have a prominent and unhealthy shadow self. You feel physically unfit and unhealthy, and you bottle up your feelings such as resentment and jealousy. You don't really know what you want in life, and you continue to make poor choices. You find it hard to see the beauty in life, and you feel unfulfilled. You can be overly cynical and skeptical, argumentative, and potential to complain a lot. You self-sabotage the good in your life. You struggle to feel gratitude, and you are needy and demanding of others. However, if you live life from a high vibrational frequency, here are some of the attributes. You are self-aware. In other words, you're conscious of what you're saying, doing, thinking, and feeling, as well as the effect that this has on others. That other part is really important. You're empathetic towards others, and you make a habit of seeing through the eyes of other people. You're highly creative and are often bursting with ideas and inspiration. You're emotionally balanced, and you feel connected to that which is beyond you. In other words, you live from the place of peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom. You have a great sense of humor towards yourself and life, and you don't take yourself too seriously. You regularly feel gratitude for what you have in life, and smiling and laughing comes easily to you. You are self-disciplined. You don't need anything to feel happy. You're in tune with your body and its needs, and you often experience synchronicity. You live in the present more than in the past or the future, and your body feels strong and healthy. You try to keep your life clutter-free, and you forgive yourself and other people easily. And patience comes easily to you. And lastly, you're highly intuitive. It's important to remember as we leave here today that it's up to you whether you want to shift your vibrational frequency in life. What I do know that as each of us collectively commit to doing that, what ensues is a wave, if you will, a ripple effect of a shift in consciousness that's taking place, and life must get better. So let's not forget that your thoughts determine your frequencies. Your feelings tell you immediately what frequency you're on. When you feel bad, you're on the frequency of drawing more bad things into your life. And when you feel good, you're powerfully attracting more good into your life. Dr. David Hawkins, a wonderful pioneer in the study of consciousness and streams of consciousness and how to measure the streams of consciousness and fields of it, says this: every single advance that we make in our awareness benefits unseen multitudes and strengthens the next step for others to follow. Every act of kindness is noticed by the universe and preserved forever. So today I invite you to know that simply being here and hearing and feeling the information that's been given to you was not just simply a cerebral experience. It was done because something in your consciousness called you forth to hear this today. That's not coming from a personal, arrogant perspective. It's coming here because I understand the way the law of life works. And so I invite you to not only commit to doing the work that is required to making your life better. That's not a judgment. It's just simply a fact of observation, meaning that all of our lives can get better and better and better and better. But in so doing, we have the opportunity to participate in that advance that Hawkins is talking about, where as we expand our awareness, that it's benefiting the multitudes of others that are unseen. And it strengthens the next steps for all others to follow. If I got nothing else this past week from watching the service and hearing the service of Aretha Franklin and John McCain, but both of those individuals did this work. They didn't put themselves first. They put others first, and both reaped the benefits of it in life. And did they have struggles? You bet they did. Of course they did. The life that John McCain lived when he was in Hanoi Hilton sounds awful to me. I personally can't imagine having gone through that time. But I've been through struggles. We've all been through struggles. And yet we're called as awakened beings of the teachings of metaphysics and the science of mind to forgive ourselves and to others, to let go, to release and let go, and let God run our life. But that can only happen when we release and let, and then step into the action of tending to our consciousness, ultimately shifting our vibrations and having faith that the law of life is doing its part, because it always is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back, Andy and Scott.
You will find
Scott Drier. We're so happy you're here. Yes. I love the vibration that you bring into the room. It's true. He walked in this morning just happy and saying thank you and just full of love. Full of love. So thank you. We'll have you back. It won't be another 62 years. So now's the opportunity for us to share in the vibrational frequency known as cash, known as good, of giving our good to this wonderful community known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. And so your opportunities to give as far as the modality is cash, check, and or credit card. If you'd like to use a credit card, you can see who, I believe Jesus is at the welcome table. And or you can go online. You can go online to our website, which is csl-la.org. Click on the tab that says Donate. Please excuse me, I have a cough drop in my mouth. Go to Donate, and that will take you to our PayPal page, and or you can go through our app in the App Store, and you can do that. Both all aspects of giving, we graciously appreciate it when it comes in today, but also know that we're a business that opens and operates 365 days a year, so we celebrate good as it comes in each and every day of the week. I love coming in the week and there are checks that are in the mail or PayPal pops up. So, and what? And pennies. We got pennies from the Noble Group the other day. So, not that we're encouraging you to give pennies. I just want to be really clear. They may be from heaven, but Daddy don't like counting them. So I invite you to, we've put it in your chair, there's a little handout looks like this, and we're going to use that for our conscious giving today. So take that which you are giving and place it close to your heart. I'm putting my mobile device because I used the app this morning. I invite you to close your eyes if that feels good to you. And in your mind's eye, just see that which you're giving propagating as good, making a difference on this planet. And then repeat after me, please. I am a conscious being.
I am a conscious being.
My vibrations are high.
My vibrations are high.
This is evident.
This is evident
in how I give.
how I give.
So today,
I
I choose to give
choose to give
easily and joyfully.
easily and joyfully.
For God is my source.
God is my source.
And abundance is my nature.
My nature.
So I know, and I know that I know,
And I know that I know
that which I give
that which I give
returns to me
returns to me.
multiplied abundantly. And so it is.
'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight. By turning, we come round.
Thank you, Andy. Really beautiful. All right, so let me give you some updates and some news and some thank yous. So a big thank you to our practitioner of the day, to our illuminator who is upstairs, Jesus Ernesto Reyes. A big thank you to our music today, Andy Belling and Scott Drier. And yay! Scott has CDs for sale in the back, so please avail yourself of those CDs. Correct, Scott? CDs in the back? Yes. Do that. And then also, I'm sure he has a website that's being made manifest if it's not already in form. So check it out. A big thank you to Jesus and Bob for setup and audio today. Our board member on duty today is Sandy Rivetta. Sandy, raise your hand, please. She's right here. If you have any thing with love and light and constructively that you'd like to share with Sandy, she's receptive to it out back. I've been asked to announce something we used to do that we haven't done in a while. If we have practitioners in the room, would you please stand? So a practitioner is someone who is trained. So you guys see them. So they will be out back, or if anyone would like to connect with them to have spiritual mind treatment, connect with them. They'll be back on this side of the room today. We're going really slowly. You guys can sit now if you want. Slowly. Okay, so stay standing. I was loving your vibrations. I was trying to give you a chance to sit. You can stay standing. But anyway, if you want to avail yourself of meeting with a practitioner, or if you have questions on how to raise your vibrations, if you have questions on how to do spiritual mind treatment, or if there's just something laying heavy on your heart that you'd like help with, feel free to connect with a practitioner. Or if you have great good in your life and you want it to continue, feel free to connect with them. That's what they're here for. They are trained to do that. They are licensed. They have to meet criteria to do that. And so know that that's the case. And we're looking at a way to make that more available to you in our news. That's the case. Some announcements. So Wednesday morning, our online meditation continues. Please, if you haven't done it, find a way to do that Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. It's a great way to start your day. It's from 8 o'clock to 8:30 a.m. The information is both in our e-newsletter and it's online. It's a guided meditation that I take us through for 30 minutes, and it's really great. It's just great. I think it's great. I enjoy doing it. If you're not receiving our e-newsletter and you'd like to, you can sign up with one of these in the back with Reverend Edward. And to do that, our dance class continues on Friday called The Spirit of Dance, which is a lot of fun. Join that. You can see that on our newsletter as well. Make sure to follow us on social media and in the e-newsletter. I shared with you guys last week that we will continue doing Facebook Live on Sunday, so just be aware of that. Also, we're going to start shooting some promo videos in the next few weeks. Won't be next Sunday, but following that. So if you'd like to be a part of that, just simply stepping in front of the camera and saying what you like about our community and what this teaching does for you. It's all that. You're not going to be interviewed. It's just going to be an opportunity to step up and say something. We'll have that edited and send it out. Last Thursday, we had the Noble Folk group of 55 and older. That's where we got the pennies. And we got cash too, I'm just kidding her. But it was a great group and there was great feedback. I got some emails with great feedback. So if you have questions about that, see Reverend Lenore. It takes place the last Thursday of every month. I begin teaching a class on Thursday, 9/20, I believe is the date, but it's that Thursday. I know some are frowning because it's Thursday. It's the only night we can get it started, but that's what it is, called The Gifts of Abundant Living. It'll take place at 7:15. It's an accredited class. If you're on the trajectory of practitionerdom, it's that, so know that that's class. It's for 8 weeks. On October 21st, we're going to, as a group, for those that want to see the King Tut exhibit. Yay! King Tut. So, I just totally drew a blank. If you have questions, see Sandy, right? So, Connie, I knew I just want to see Connie if you have questions on that. And there's a sign-up sheet, and you have handouts in your chair that tells you about it. It's $24. We'll collect the $24 and then buy the tickets in advance. But we have it. There's a deadline. It's all on the flyer. And the way it's going to work, I'll just highlight it. So if you have questions, we're going to leave here. You bring your lunch, sack lunch, whatever. Just bring your lunch. We're going to go to the train station. Take the train. The $24 does not include your train. We're going to take the train to USC, the Natural History Museum, walk out onto the lawn, have lunch, go from there into the museum. Got it? Pretty straightforward. All right. I think that's everything. Anything I missed? Is that it? All right, so there are flower products in the back for you to chew on today, and coffee and I believe tea. So avail yourself of not only community with each other, but vibe with each other and eat and chew and have an amazing Labor Day. And, and know that you're loved. Know that you're loved and appreciated. Let's close with a spiritual mind treatment. Let's just know that the chatter and the chuckle that's taking place in this room is a reflection of consciousness knowing itself. That good is indeed being made manifest in this room and beyond, because each and every individual that is here knows who they are as a divine being. That any fret or worry that may have entered this room is now diminished. And we're each leaving here today awakened and alert to who we are. as the completeness and the wholeness of that reservoir of infinite potentiality and awesomeness fully expressed. And so we know that I am, that I am, that I am that presence. And so we move forward in life being very clear on the vibrational frequency that we're emanating and receiving in life, letting it be a reflection of a consciousness that is in alignment with its divine nature. And so today is the day that we live more empowered. Today is the day that we are awakened to a new idea. Today is the day that we give our divinity, lighting the pathway for others that we will never see fulfilled for them, but know in our heart that it is. Today is the day that we not only change our thinking, but change our vibrations, and the world that we know is a better for it. We say thank you. Thank you. To know that the future is ours to see, and we see it as a reflection and an emanation of love. And we let it be by saying together, amen, and so it is. Thank you. Have a great holiday. Have a great day and a great week.